when it's time to, you just gotta take your time to. Hey y'all, we're back with another episode of Black Women Healing Podcast. And we are your hosts, Danica and
Myra.
And we want to start off, as we are going to start off every episode, letting y'all and telling y'all and asking y'all to please follow us. We need y'all to follow us. Like, comment, subscribe, rate. Never ever rate a star less than a 5. And if it's a 10-star, rate us a 10. If it's 100, rate us 100. We need the top stars possible.
Spotify, you can comment on the episode, and we try to do little polls here and there, so also answer the polls.
Yes, y'all, the polls, it really helps us continue to engage with you all. I be going on there answering the polls, even though I created them, because I want y'all to see and understand who we are. Y'all listening to the podcast, y'all gonna know us. We want to get to know you all too. And it just really helps us to continue feeling motivated, to continue going on that and understanding that these episodes are reaching you all. So please do all the things.
Yes.
Yeah. So Myra, what are we talking about today?
Today we are going to talk about eldest daughters versus young daughters, I guess. And so what I mean by that is if you were the firstborn daughter to your family and if you were the lastborn daughter to your family, what are some things that you maybe notice? What are some things that maybe you don't like? Maybe some things that you do like. So to kick it off, let's talk about our placement in our family so people have an understanding. So for my dad, I am his first child, only daughter. For my mom, I am her second child, also only daughter. What about you, Nika?
Okay. First child, only daughter for you.
No, you got it wrong.
No, please.
You got it wrong. First child, only daughter for dad.
For dad.
Second child, only daughter for mom.
Oh, okay. You the only daughter, but there's nothing else to obviously go. Okay, got you. Okay.
Yes.
For me, for my mom and my dad, I'm actually the youngest and the second daughter. For my dad in general, my dad has another child outside my mom, and I'm his second youngest. I'm confusing myself thinking about all these moms and who just know I'm the youngest of my mom, my dad, and of my mom and my dad in general, I'm the second youngest. That's what I'm gonna say. It makes sense. That's it.
So from your mom and dad, they had a child after you.
My dad had a child after me.
Yes.
My mom doesn't. Okay, yeah, my mom doesn't have any more children outside of my dad, but my dad has another child outside my mom with another lady.
Because your mom has 3 kids and your dad has 4.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, that was confusing me for a second. I'm like, wait, what? What did I miss? So, let's highlight what are some of the things that like you notice. Like, I always think like for a daughter, you're supposed to be like the princess, but I'm more so like a peasant. So I'm curious for you, like, how do you? I know the face is like, what? We'll get into it though.
Peasant is both of those P words. Pushing P's. Okay, so I think when I was younger, I was more like the princess. I was like definitely daddy's girl. I said like I choose my daddy over my mama. Like really, it's bad. It was like I was definitely, if it was a choice, I was going my dad. And then I do remember it was a break of 2 things. My dad went to prison, another P.
I did not know this, but okay.
My dad went to prison for a little bit, maybe like I don't even know. I was young, so maybe I was 6 or something. He was gone maybe for a year. It's like very blurry when I look back. I remember we went to see him in my head only one time, and I just remember like crying. I didn't know what was going on. It felt like it was longer, but when I talked to my mom and dad, like it was only like a year. Oh, he was gone forever, but he wasn't. And then so it was that break in the princess system, meaning like those little years, like he was gone. And then it was something that happened, and I think this goes toward like my mom just being very protective of her children, where my mom, she wouldn't let me sit on my dad's lap after a certain age. Probably like 7. She'd be like, no, you too old. And it was confusing as a kid, you know what I'm saying? Of like, why can't this is my dad? Like, what's going on? It's weird. And then there's no explanation behind it because, Black people don't talk about stuff. And so that little piece of having that type of connection with my dad, it was kind of broken. And so, I would say, yeah, after about like 8, 9, I still like, I didn't play by my dad, but it didn't feel as princessy as that did, because my dad still, he spoiled us. Anything we wanted, we would just go and ask him. He's gonna give it to us, to the point where my dad, he starts saying, go ask your mom, because
Oh my God.
we would trick. And my mom would say no. We would go to him. Then he'd be like, yeah. And then she'd be like, I told them no. And so after a certain age, every time we ask him something, we'd be like, hey, can we have some money? We trying to do this. He'd be like, go ask your mom. So we were very careful in that way, where he didn't want to tell us no ever. So that's the origin of my little
I
princess.
want to hear, how does that like trickle into like now? Like, what is relationship like now with them?
I mean, my dad, that never changed. If I call my dad, he's gonna figure it out. It does not matter. I can call my dad asking for $1,000,000 right now. He's gonna be like, well, I don't know. I'll figure it out. He'll figure it out. My dad,
Wow.
like, I can call my dad thousands of miles away. He's gonna at least act like he's gonna try to help me. If I ask him for a while, I be asking him about car stuff. He's not even here, but I know if I call my dad, he's gonna try to figure it out.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
so it's still the same. That part, that's never changed. So yeah.
How
What
did that
about
make? How did your mom? No, now I'm curious. So how did that fit in, like with your mom? Because your dad has three women in the house. How did that? How was that relationship like as a whole?
I mean, he was spoiled too. My dad is spoiled. Like, when I say this, because I feel like my parents, they're pretty domesticated, in a sense of like those gender roles are really strong. Um, my parents, as an adult, came to stay with me. This is probably like 4 or 5 years now, and I remember saying like, dang, that man get everything headed to him. She ironed his clothes. She bring him everything. Like, he's spoiled. So imagine he didn't really have to do much either. We did most of, we washed the dishes and cleaned up everything. He did like the male gender role stuff, all the outside work, cleaning the gutters, cutting the grass, all that type of stuff, taking out the trash. It was very gender rolled in that way. So I would say he was spoiled. Yeah. Still
And you
is.
said still spoiled. Oh my gosh.
He's still spoiled. Yeah, my dad is spoiled. It's hilarious. I say it's hilarious because it's just so wild how the dynamics, like how different me and my sister are. Even though we was in that environment, we not like that. we we're nurturing and gender role in certain pieces, but not that far.
Got it.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
Okay. Interesting.
So, in thinking of this, first of all, you asking me these questions. What is coming up for you? Why are you asking me these questions?
No, I'm just curious because yours just kept going on and on. And for me, when I think about mine, I don't really recall like much of like the childhood part of it all. Like I kind of
Mm,
just remember just existing as a child. But now I more so see the differences, like being the oldest daughter of like not really getting a whole lot of help. Like now more so feeling like, oh, like you'll figure it out. Like you always figure it out. And so, but I don't remember as a kid what it was like. So as you're sharing, I'm like trying to like jog my memory of like, because at my mom's house, I was basically the only child because my brother's 13 years older. So it's just us. Whereas in my dad's house, I have two younger siblings. So it wasn't just me. And so juggling both realities was just like an interesting thing. But I remember somewhat feeling like a kid, but I'm like, I don't really remember how me being the eldest daughter really played into it.
yeah,
Definitely not the princess treatment. I don't recall that. Don't get that now at all. But I'm trying to think like what was it more so like? So me asking you the questions is me trying to help myself like remember because I can
yeah,
tell you very clearly now, but I think that's more so because I feel like I'm in a lot of conversations about being the eldest daughter and the weight of it, and parents just not like understanding that they treat their kids differently, or the oldest child versus like the youngest children. Yeah, I'm struggling to recall.
yeah, yeah. So, how is it now?
So with my mom, it's kind of always been me being an adult, parentified child. I was so happy when I learned that term because it's kind of always been that way.
Yes,
And her seeing my brother as someone that like can't figure it out and kind of being mean toward him because of that, and me kind of being the child that kind of always has figured it out. As we know, like boys, I feel like they develop a little bit different. Of course, they develop different. But her not really tapping into that, but more so seeing that I just figured it out and that just being a thing. And I feel like that's still a thing now. And kind of same thing like with my dad also. The boys kind of struggle a little bit because they learn differently, they learn slower, but you figure it out so like you got it. And I think that's something I try to be hyper aware of. Like with Shyla, should I have any more kids? Just because like she figures it out, she's still gonna need help. Yeah, like you can't just let your child just figure it out. That's not cool.
Oh, oh, you be like hitting some points. And it's, I think I'm hearing this, and I think this is sometimes what happens with parents. Because I'm saying this, I'm saying that I get princess treatment, but my
Mm-hmm.
parents don't ask me if I need anything. I tell them when I want. Me and my sister talk about this all the time. I'm the child. I
You,
am the
yeah.
person. If I need something, I ask. If you
Yeah.
don't ask, though, my parents are very much hands off. I mean, we've talked about this. I don't talk to my parents often. I live thousands of miles away, and my parents, they do not call me like every day, every week. When I first moved here, I would talk to my parents maybe every couple few months. This is when I was only 21. I
Why
moved
was
across. They're not. My mom would say, she says that she doesn't want to be all in my business. She doesn't want to be. She don't want
she's
to be
trying
like a hell.
to be an adult?
No, it was like this when we was a kid too. It's very strange. I'm like, you're my mother. Like you get to be in my business. It's kind of, and that's probably her childhood trauma of maybe like her
Mhm.
parents or maybe what she went through. They were too like forceful of their parent. I don't know, but it's very that part of it is strange. So they do not reach out to me, but I do know I can call them. You know what I'm saying? If I call them, then they'll help if I have to tell them though, but they're not going to be like, I noticed you're
Wow.
struggling with this. And so and fair enough, it has made me very independent. But I've desired that, like where like ask me if I need
Do
anything
you
or
think
know
that's a generational thing? Like where they just don't add? Like I feel like we're more of a generation where we could see like what's going on and we kind of like jump in. Or
where.
generation is kind of just like I don't see nothing.
Yeah, I think they're just not aware. Their awareness is lower. And maybe I don't know, maybe their trauma's blocking them where they're
Probably.
like they're still in the midst of their own stuff where in thinking of where we are, we probably seem like like you said, we have it together,
Mm-hmm.
compared to them when they were
Yeah.
younger, and also even compared to other young adults, right? So if we're thinking of people they probably see in their day to day, and probably even their friends or people they hear about, they're like, my kids is cool. They don't
Yeah.
need anything. They
Yeah.
figure out everything. What the heck?
That probably
Like,
is moments where they probably do check in and say, like, does my child need anything? And the bigger picture is kind of like, nah, they really don't. Because we have reached much further than a lot of other people in our generation have. And so that probably is for them, like, I did a good job. Like, they good. That's probably what it is. Now that, like, we're talking it out.
and that's
Yeah.
true. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. But I agree with what you're saying in this piece of it does suck sometimes having to be the strong one and the one who quote unquote has it figured out. Because
Right.
like you said, what you would do with your child, which I think is beautiful, it's to show like you still have a parent. Like that's what that piece is. It's like I'm still here. Yes, you can do all these things, and that is amazing. But
Yeah.
one, you don't have to do them all by yourself. And two, I'm still your parent. You're not alone. That's the piece that ends up being missed though when you like do that to your children who have it all together and who don't ask. Um it's so many missed moments of parenting.
Yeah, I think even parenting as like an adult, like because I think of like you want to set your kids up to be successful adults. And when I say successful adults, I mean just kind people, people that they try to figure it out, right? They don't have to know how to figure it out. And I think that when they're in their 20s, you should keep that going, 30, so on and so on. And so like if y'all are not on threads, threads is amazing. But I'm always taking notes from threads because I read a lot about just how people's parents show up for them as adults. And it can be simple things of like meeting up with your child, checking in with them for their goals, like hanging
Mm.
out with them, just spending time with them. What is something that you enjoy doing? Like I set it all up. Like I read so many stories where the
Wow.
kid will be like, yeah, I told my mom about, let's say like a butterfly exhibit or something. And we don't live near each other, but like she scheduled a plan for us to go to like this butterfly exhibit. I think just simple things like that to show that you're still interested in your child too is so important. That's how you keep
Yeah.
it going.
That sound just hearing that made my heart just so warm. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Whenever I be reading them, I'll be like, this is so cute. And at first, I used to feel like, damn, like, how did I end up with parents that don't do this type of stuff? But now I'm in a phase of life where I'm like, my parents are human too. Like, they're still trying to figure it out. So this is my chance to figure it out on another level and say, like, well, since my child is interested in these things, like, I'll do them. Like, my daughter, she loves Danny Go, and I can't stand Danny Go. It's
What is that?
how do I describe it? It's like, think of like a Katy Perry, but like for kids. Yeah, that's basically
Okay.
what it is. Like a little superstar. I can't stand it. We be listening to the car all the time. And I'd be like, do we have to hear another Danny Ghost song? But because her interest, I'm gonna take her to the concert and I'm gonna let her vibe out. So I think just simple things like that, because as she becomes an adult, let's say when she's an adult, she really likes Beyonce or something. Let's go to the Beyonce concert and like vibe out together. So just keeping their is so important.
Yes, yeah, that's the awareness of you paying attention to your daughter's interests and allowing her and allowing you all to have differences as well, versus that's the other side. Sometimes parents, they're like, no, we're not listening to that. I don't like it, so you're not gonna like it. Like,
That was my mom. She wouldn't say I'm not gonna like it, but she'd be like, I'm not listening to this. I don't want to hear that shit. I'm like, damn. But now
oh,
I think that plays in the back of my head where it's like, dang, it didn't hurt my feelings, but it more so like, dang, okay. Where now I'm like, I think it in my head, but I'm never gonna say that. What I do is instead, I'm like, let's just take turns because you don't like my music and I ain't feeling yours. So you have your turn, I have my turn. So we go back and forth. So that's like our little thing.
yeah, compromise. We like it. We like
Yeah.
it. And I think though, to that point of, like you said, our parents being human, something that I've accepted is, I do see their effort. So yeah, they may not plan like a whole day of my interest or something for us to do to bond
Yep.
in that way. But when I
Mm-hmm.
go home, it's small stuff. Like my parents are eager to like do that. They want me to stay home. They want to pick me up. What time you coming? We got to get everything together. Like, they get so excited. And I feel like that's the little moments of like that's where they're showing the things. And so it doesn't look in this way that we
Yeah.
talking about where it's like, dang, but it's picking up on those little things. So it's like they
Exactly. I
like
totally agree. I totally agree. My dad does something similar in that, like, his thing is he wants to tell me about whatever artist is like about to have a concert and then try to like introduce me to the song and I'll know the song. And so that we're like singing the song together, which I think is like hilarious because we both sound absolutely horrible, but it's cute, right? So yeah, I think they try in like little ways. Sometimes I just imagine like the kid version of them sometimes when they're talking. And I'm like, this kid don't know nothing. They still figuring it out. That's all it is.
Ooh, how about that? When in doubt, looking at your parents and like,
You have to. They literally are just kids in a human body, just like we are too, trying to like figure this thing out. I don't really know what they doing. They trying.
yeah, yeah. Do you want to talk about this oldest piece though versus the youngest?
Ooh, sure. I just feel like it's just the weight of the world is like on the oldest, where the youngest is not the same thing at all. Like from my experience, because I see the difference in me and my younger siblings where it's like, oh, like we're gonna help you do this and that. And I would be looking like, what did I miss here? Like what? But it's also, I think, a mind fuck because what am I doing at this big age wanting to help versus like the younger one? And I think that's where it can become kind of difficult because it's like, how do I say something when, because keep in mind, we have big age gaps. Me and my siblings are 10 years apart, 7 years apart, 13 years apart.
Yeesh.
So yeah, it's not like the typical 2 to 4 years.
Yeah.
So me with a whole ass child now being like, hey, they got this and that treatment can be interesting. So something that I found myself doing is I'll talk to my youngest brother about it and he'll be like, ah, okay, like I see what you're saying. And that's been helpful for me because he normalizes it. He'll be trying a little bit more thoughtful around like, conversations that are had when like I'm there that censor him, whatever. But that's been like super helpful because he'll be like, I didn't even notice that, or wow, okay, that's not cool. Or like I'll tell him like when you have kids or if you date someone, like just keep these things in mind. And he'll be like, oh, okay, like that's like a good point. Yeah. Because when you date a oldest daughter, she's coming into the relationship as the oldest daughter. And you got to
Oh,
think about all the things that are placed on her of figuring it out, being hyper independent. Those are
oh,
the big things. So now you got to make it a little soft. And what does soft even mean? You have to help her to remove that hyper part of the independence, still independent, remove that hyper part and like lean on you. But that's going to look like you just doing stuff.
hey, you just dropped the mic. You're like, Because my sister, the biggest piece too is I think, and hopefully as we get older, the siblings, hopefully we start talking to each other. And that's when we start realizing our different experiences. Sometimes you don't realize it when you're in it. So me and my sister, we talk about the things today, but in my head, I'm like, no, we didn't get treated different. We both got treated the same. We both didn't get taught a lot of stuff. Like in my head, it felt like we both didn't get the things. And then when I talked to her, she'd be saying her experience, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like
Yeah,
she got the brunt in,
yeah,
definitely. Like she didn't get like you said, it's very this hyper independence piece, but also even she got blamed for a lot of stuff.
hmm,
Like if I got in trouble, it would be like she get in trouble. Like she didn't even do nothing, but because she was the oldest, it
yeah,
was just all these little pieces. And then, her being kind of my older brother, that's a whole nother thing. His experience is even I don't want to say worse, but more complex because my parents had him when they were 14, 15 years old. And so he
yeah.
was primarily raised by my great grandparents, but they lived down the street. It was so complex growing up.
Uh,
Like, so his experience is even more complex. And I say,
wow,
talking to each other, you start realizing the different parents you had and the different experiences we had. So I feel like that's the first piece of like you recognize we have it's differences here
yes.
that have impacted how we are today. And then we bond. It's messed up because you kind of trauma bond with your siblings. Me and my sister, you like, remember that they didn't even, we a trauma bond a little bit of our different experiences.
To trauma bond with my siblings because again, the age gaps. So my
Oh
experiences are
yes.
totally different, like completely different. The things that I experience, they may have experienced something very similar, but it's not the same experience like at all. So when I'm sharing stuff, they'll be like, "We got a different version of this person." Because y'all
Well,
keep in mind,
my older brother, he is like the 8, 9 years older than me, and so his stuff is definitely like you're saying, it's a whole nother. But my sister, she's 4, like 3.5, 4. So I think we were, and we lived in the same house too, which changed the things. Imagine a 14, 15-year-old parent. Imagine your dad being 15 years old.
your brother lived at your grandparents' house.
My great grandparents down the street. Yes.
No, I'm only asking because my brother lived with my grandma, but not
Oh,
great grandma. But he lived with my grandma too, because it was one of those things. Because my mom had him. She
when
was a
she was young,
teenager also. But it was
that
one
was
of those like she got married to move out of my grandma's house. Got married young. Met this guy. Had a kid with him. Found out he was crazy. Had to.
what was your mom?
I think she was between 17 and 19. I don't know.
Dang.
Yeah, so married this guy. He was older than her. He was abusive and crazy. Had a kid with him and was trying to raise the kid. Couldn't do it. And my grandma was like, "Send him on over to me." And my grandma
Mm.
raised him. Yeah. So very different dynamics even there. Cause
Oh,
yeah.
definitely. Grandparents ain't doing that usually these days. But also parents, yeah, no, they not doing that. But also the parents are very particular about their kids nowadays too. They don't
Yeah.
even be wanting the grandparents to raise they want to raise their own kids. And like I said, the grandparents, they don't be wanting like they
Grandparents
don't be
these days are trying to live their life. They don't want to be grandparents for real. They don't I shouldn't say they don't want to be grandparents. They don't want to be grandparents in the same way that grandparents used to be grandparents. Because my grandmas, they felt like a third parent. Like that is who I spent my summers with. That is who was picking
yep,
me up from school. That
yep,
was who was low key like disciplining me in the grandma
yep.
way. My grandma ain't never put no hands on me. It was very different. Any little call home where they were like, "Oh, she's sick," I went to grandma's house. Like every little thing, I was with my grandma. My grandma knew all my secrets, all my dirt.
Same. Both sides. My granny on both sides. Like you just
Yeah,
said,
same.
we was going over their house. It was always somewhere to go. Definitely, like you said, summers, weekends, all of that. My parents
You see,
now,
that experience was different because my dad and stepmom had my brothers later on in life. So at this point, you getting the older grandma. She's not as active, like, and even
yeah.
they were not as active. So like the stories are so different in that like me and my dad used to go bike riding all the time and go kart riding, all these things. Me and my grandma would go to all these museums, whatever. And I tell this to my brothers, they'd be like,
We didn't
"Huh?
do none of
They did?" Like, yeah, no, we was in the streets. And they're like, wow, we had such a different experience.
that.
So I
So
think that is maybe like the little bit of the princess part of like I did all these adventures with them, all these things.
actually really cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
You got me before they was like, we tired. We ain't doing none of that.
literally. That is like super tangent, but that is why I'm scared to have kids when I'm older. Because I don't want to be like so checked out in that way. Because I feel like that's where we start to introduce kids to technology, where it's like, here, they got you. Yeah,
But I
that's
think
my
that's
fear.
perspective of age and ageism. Just because you get older doesn't mean you have to like check out in that way. Like you still can continue doing the things. Fair enough, maybe if you literally physically can't, but I think sometimes I
Yeah,
think now people who are like as people age, they're still being active nowadays versus when we think of like our parents' generation, they start shutting down in a way. Like they're not as active
yeah.
with the kids, with the grandkids. But I don't know. I don't think our generation is going to be like that.
But let
Like,
me rephrase it. What I meant was I worry about, but I see it more and more, the two lives. And what I mean by that is the people who like, you have kids, let's say early 30s, whatever, and then you turn back around and do it in your 40s. That, I don't know, from my experience in conversations with people, they just be like, I'm not there versus people who, because I feel like now our generation, we have kids later. Like at this point, our desire is to have kids later between like 36 and like 42 is what I'm hearing a lot of conversation around.
is
But that's because people are like, I feel like, huh?
that what the people are saying?
Yeah,
36 to
they
40.
are because they're thinking about like if I'm setting myself up now for success, I'll be really good then. I'm making sure I'm in the best health of my life to be prepared for that versus folks who are having kids maybe early 30s and then going back and doing it again then, which is what both of my parents did. And I see the difference in that they're like, I kind of already have done all this and I'm about to do this again. Why am I doing this to
It's like
myself?
that with any parent. Like even people who have kids who in their 20s and then they have kids later. I feel like you always hear if you wait long, most parents feel like that in general. If
Yeah.
I have children, I would like to have them quickly. My hope would be to, I don't even know. I might only stop at one if, if God blesses me with one, I'll take that. But I would want to keep doing it. Like, let's just do this. Let's just do it. I wouldn't want to wait. I wouldn't want to wait 10 years to have another kid. Like I'd
Yeah.
rather just get it done cuz I can imagine like
Yeah.
having to start over, like all the age.
50 years. I can do, I don't know. I just need the space and the time. Because
But
all
at the
the
same time, it is kind of cool when the kids get older, and even like with my sister right now, or even with my friends like Sandria, the kids help out so much.
huh?
So like when I went home just recently, she has a 4 month year old, and then she has two 9 year olds, and then she has a freaking 17, 18 year old. Man, them kids, what? She got all the help. Them kids want they, and then the little ones, they're eager to learn, so they want to do everything. I want to help. Can I give them a bath? Can I do? Man, that's the help to be able even to close your eyes for a second because these kids are at least they can make sure the baby will go stay alive. You can take a little nap. Versus if it's just you feel like you can't do anything. You can't even go to the bathroom. When I watched my nephew, the little 4 month year old, for probably maybe like 5, 6 hours by myself, right? My mom had to go to work. She woke me up, passed me the baby. I'm still laying down. I'm like, he all happy, head bobbing, laughing. Ah. I'm like, I guess I gotta get up. I get up. He just want to play. He's only 4 months, and play by him is again head bopping. He can't do nothing. He just want to smile and laugh. He don't know what's going on. Goo goo gaga, quite literally. Um, and it was fun. I'm like, oh, okay, this is cool. Then I was like, I'm kind of tired. I want to go to sleep. I'm like, oh, I
Yeah,
can't go to sleep. And then I was like, oh, I want to get on the treadmill. I want to get some steps in. I can't just leave. Like, it's all these things. I'm like, oh, he's hungry. Then he fell asleep. I was like, oh, beautiful. He went to sleep. So then I got on the treadmill while he was asleep. Then he woke up. And so all of this, I'm thinking like, dang, I don't have an assist. If I would, I have to have another person with me when I have a kid that can help me.
exactly.
I don't see, and this is a piece of like single parents, like real deal. That is insane. We are not meant to do that by ourselves.
Not at
You are
all.
not. I need another person. I cannot imagine this my life. And it's not like, because when my mom got home from work, I was like, yes. And my dad, he came in and started helping me. Yes, somebody help me. I can't do this by myself constantly. I'm supposed to entertain and pay attention to this little human. He can't do anything for himself. He can't do
Yeah.
nothing. So
Yep.
it made me like, I have to have another person. And I bring me back to my point of, even if I had other kids that were older, those are other people to help. Like, so
Yep.
have another kid, have another kid. And if you wait a little longer, there'll actually be kids who can help a little
Exactly.
bit too.
I agree. Yeah. Well, that is our episode of talking about oldest daughters versus youngest daughters. I feel like this is a conversation that can continue to go on and on and on, especially like if you're on threads reading about it, which I always am. I'm always curious about the conversation. And so, oldest daughters, take care of yourself. Youngest daughters, do what you can for your older siblings, right? I'm biased.
Not for real though. I feel it. And shout out to the parents. We love y'all.
Yes, that's it.